Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. No countdown in my ear. I'm on. Kelly is not. My humble apologies. Already 312 once. Kelly in a tank top. I get it. Who doesn't? Anyway, I'm Lawrence Presman. It's Wager Talk Today. This is the single best daily sports betting show on the planet. We got an incredible lineup today. We're going to start the show with Kyle Anthony. He's going to talk some UFC. You want to make some money betting the UFC? Listen to every word Kyle says. After that, we got Andy Lang. Like always, he's got some prop bets for us. Marco D'Angelo is joining us with a bunch of college basketball plays, including a couple of high-profile games. Maryland versus Nebraska. He's also going to take apart the Warriors and the Nuggets and the Thunder versus the T-Wolves. Last day of NBA before the All-Star break. We're going to end the show with Gianni The Greek. Shout out to everyone except my friend Waj, because I saw what you posted yesterday in the chat room, but I got lots of love for you guys anyway. Thank you, Kelly, for hosting on Wednesday. Kyle Anthony, let's begin. How are you, my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I think we need to do like a live stream of the the first 10 minutes before we go on air, and just subscribers. You got to have like a year package in order to get this information, but it's pure comedy.
Dude, that would be, but they wouldn't be allowed to tape it. There's way too much
Get out though,
going on. Like in all seriousness, it's a funny point, Kyle, because I am one of the owners of Wager Talk. I wear that on my sleeve. I'm super proud. And Dan, who is the producer of this show, could literally blackmail me. Like the amount of taping of hot micing that Dan has available to him.
To be fair, Prez, you do the same thing on air as we do before. Maybe a little bit on another level, but let's be fair. It's not like you come in full on tamed. That's what the people come to see.
Well, you know what, brother? Prez is on steroids off air.
That's fair.
Caden Panaz wants to know what I thought about the Four Nations Cup. I'll get to that later as well. Kyle, let's get into some actionable betting information right off the bat. I mean, you are so good at the sport, UFC. It's what you focus on. And look, they have a motto: if you can't do it, bet it. You clearly are part of that category. I can do it. Gregory Rodriguez versus Jared Cannonier. Tell me how to bet this matchup.
So, in the main event here, we have Gregory Rodriguez versus Jared Cannonier. You've got Rodriguez minus 220 on the comeback here, and Cannonier you got plus 180. Now, Cannonier has been in the UFC for a long time. Long career. This will be his 19th fight within the promotion. And, he's fought a lot of high-level guys throughout his career, fought for the title against Israel Adesanya back in 2022. But, he is a powerhouse of a man. But the one thing is time is starting to catch up with him at this particular point now. He's 40 years old, going to be 41 in March. And, you're just starting to see really a decline where talk about explosiveness. He looks like he's starting to move a little bit slower, especially over his last two fights. He took a beating in the last two fights. And that's the one thing, even over his last 5 fights, that you have seen consistently where, over the last 5 fights, the damage he has taken in significant strikes is 656 significant strikes, which is a wide margin here compared to, just for context, you got Rodriguez, who was at 134 significant strikes. Now, absorbed. Now, obviously, when a guy there's an early stoppage, those kind of things that, obviously can change those numbers. But reason I'm bringing up is the fact that this guy's 40 years old. He has taken a ton of damage, and the way he fights is starting to change. He used to really be very aggressive. He'd come forward, he'd throw big shots, and things now is when he gets hit, he starts to backpedal a little bit. He doesn't absorb his shots as well. And also the fact that he just faced Kyle Borralho not long ago, took 5 rounds of absolute ass kicking. And now we're here about to face, again, another tough guy where you got Rodriguez, who has multiple advantages in this spot. And the first thing he's going to have is going to be youth. He's going to be 8 years younger overall. He's going to have the faster hand, backed by big power. And one of the things that he does very well defensively is check leg kicks. That's something that Cannonier does do often. I think that he can check those. And the main thing here for Rodriguez, why I do think he gets his victory is the fact that he is well-rounded. He's the guy that is going to look for the takedowns, can mix it up, have good boxing. So in this spot here, I do like Gregor Rodriguez to get the job done. I think he's catching Jared at the right time. And I think this is going to be inside the distance. I don't think we're going to see the scorecards here. I think that you're going to see Rodriguez land big shots, either get the knockout or something kind of finishing on the ground here. It's at minus 130 inside the distance. So I like that spot for Rodriguez.
There we go. Kyle Anthony joining us, one of the best UFC sports bettors out there. Kyle, before we get into the Angela Hill Sluza fight, do you have any promotions or anything you wanted to anything to promote for the clients?
Yeah, so this weekend I've got some plays up for clients. We're in profit in 2025. We profited about 75 units in 2024. A lot of events coming up. We're going to have back-to-back for about 10 events in a row on a Saturday. So if you're looking to get a little something off on a discount here on checkout, use cash 10. You'll get $10 off this weekend's 4% best bet play. I have three plays up and going to be adding more to that, of course, with some plus money in there.
There we go. Guys, our regular listeners, B-Daddy, Javier, Titans, Bill, Natural, all of you guys, Gio, please hit that like button for us. Get our likes up to 100 if you don't mind. Thanks so much. Kyle, how do we attack this Angela Hill versus Ketlin Sluza fight? It's basically a pick, a minus 110. Where are you going?
Yeah, so in this fight here, as you said, Prez, you got a pick and price tag, and you've got the UFC vet in Hill versus the UFC newcomer in Ketlin Sluza. And this line was sitting around minus 150, 160 about a week ago, and money has consistently come in on Sluza. And I do think it's a little bit of an overreaction. She just had, a flashy knockout victory, and also the fact that you've got Angela Hill, who's now sitting at 40 years old. Now, obviously, she's at the tail end of her career. She's been a journeyman fighter. She's been, 17 and 14 in her career. Not the greatest, but the difference between her and, Cannonier at 40 is Cannonier's taken massive amounts of damage, and you are seeing the decline. Where Angela Hill, I feel like you haven't seen the fall off yet. She has not taken that much damage. And if anything, there's been, a little bit of a resurgence with her where she's 4-2 out of her last 6. The only people that she's beat lost to was actually, pretty solid fighters in the division. Mackenzie Dern, Tabitha Ricci, at least they're substantial when it comes to just the caliber. And also, she's beating the high level, losing the high level females, beating the mid tier to low tier. And that's kind of where I put Ketlin Sluza. I put her in kind of that mid-tier to low-tier. And Ketlin really has one way to win, I think, in this spot. It's going to be landing the kill shot again, coming forward. She likes to pressure. She's going to, throw everything with 100% power. And I don't think she has the ability, to really win this fight on the scorecards. She has to look for that finish. And I think that's really where Hill is going to have to find a lot of success. She has the better footwork. She's better at range. And I think the biggest thing really, for Hill, and you've kind of seen it consistently through her, is her volume. She really pushes out a high volume here, and I think that's where she finds the success, landing the pitter-patter shots while Sluza is overthrowing, and she's going to find success there. So I think this is for Hill. I think it's a good spot. I don't agree with the line movement, and I think that Hill can stick and move, defend the takedowns, and I think she probably wins on the scorecards. But at this point here, you may get Angela Hill by fight day at plus money, but right now at a pick'em, I think it's a good spot.
Kyle Anthony, everyone. And guys, please use that promo code CASH10. You saw it at the bottom of the screen. CASH10, that's CASH 10. You get $10 off of Kyle Anthony's picks for this upcoming UFC fight. Kyle, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next Thursday. Kyle Anthony, everyone. I don't know. I feel like we should have a round of applause or something. Round of applause! Whoa! Okay, so before we bring on Andy, I got to tell you guys, I almost never have a 5% play. Today, I have my first 5% college basketball play of the entire season. Yes, my first. You want to know how I do in 5% college basketball plays? I'm 8-2 in the last 4 years. 8-2 in college basketball, 5% plays in the last 4 years. I have one today. It is a total. I am destroying basketball total bets right now. Guys, I cannot stress how big this play is, how rare this play is, how much I love this play. I did wake up extra early to get you guys a promo code. So if you want $10 off of that play, use the promo code Prez10. That's PREZ10. For you Americans, a Z is a Z. So PREZ10. I will give out a free bet later on in the show. I'm 2-0 this week. Andy Lang, why do you think Americans changed the Z to Z? Were there just not enough letters that rhymed with E?
I don't know. We do a lot of things that make no sense, like the inches thing is still.
That's a whole different conversation. And frankly, you Americans should be pretty damn peeved at your grandfather's generation for being so bloody selfish. They didn't want to change, so they screwed you guys up for the rest of time. With that said, let's not get into an imperial metric debate. But I was always curious why the letter was handed to you as a Z, and then you're like, well, no, we have an E, we have a G, we have a P, we have a X. That doesn't rhyme. Why did you need a Z? Why?
I don't know. I have no opinion on it, but I don't know. It's probably easier for Zorro to make his little squiggly thing. That's probably why they did it.
It's the same squiggly thing. NBA, brother. We got our last NBA going tonight before the All-Star break. You got a prop bet for us on Jalen Green and one on Mike Conley. Let's hear both of them.
Yeah, man, this All-Star break not coming at the best time for me. 10-1 on our NBA hidden gem plays. The last 11, 19-5. I did not want this break to come, but we do have a best bet that is up tonight. Hoping, it's one of those. It's like any of these All-Star breaks. Sometimes they come at good times. Sometimes it's the worst time. And you're like, I'm on fire with these plays. Let's take a look at Jalen Green under 23.5 points. This is a crazy one, Prez. You remember when I talked about Bam Adebayo, how he's never made a three-pointer against Orlando?
Yes, I do.
Jalen Green has played Golden State 12 times, and he's never gone over this number. Not only has he never gone over this number, he averages 12.8 points, and he shoots 28% from the field against Golden State. Like, he is horrific against Golden State. I don't know what the defensive scheme is, because this goes back a couple years, so there are different players that are in here. He's gone under in his last 2 regular season games and 4 out of the last 6. Whatever reason, Jalen Green just does not perform against Golden State. So he hasn't been going over this number anyway in the regular season that much. Bad matchup. I guess you got to fade him again. We're going under 23.5 for Jalen Green. And then Mike Conley over 2.5 rebounds. It's a really low number. This is all about Julius Randle. He's played in 4 games without Julius Randle, and he's gone over in all 4 of those games. He's had 6, 6, 6, and 11 rebound chances in those games. And the Thunder, he's playing tonight. Pretty good rebounding team, but they do give up 6.7 rebounds per game to point guards. So without Julius Randle, this is a bet on, and the Thunder giving up a lot of rebounds to guards. So Jalen Green under 23.5, Mike Conley over 2.5 rebounds are your NBA plays.
Andy Lang joining us, guys. We do have some more picks coming from Andy Lang. Before we get into that, Andy, let's have some fun. So I've been in this industry since 1999. Most of the people around weren't even born at that time period. And we got a complaint sent to us last night that I'd like to read on air, because this is the first complaint in like 25 years I've ever seen like this. And shame on you, Andy. Shame on you. So a client called in and said, emailed in and said, I paid for Andy Lang, spelt wrongs, tennis picks, and his picks come with no information. And he parlays 2 or 3 heavy favorites that don't even equate to even money. It's comical how bad this is. So, Andy, firstly, shame on you for parlaying 2 or 3 heavy favorites. Shame on you for winning almost every one of those parlays. So here we have a client who is literally complaining that you're winning. I've never seen that before. How do you respond to a client who complains that you are winning?
Or 31-17 for plus 29 units just in 2025. We've hit 11 out of our last 14 plays. We've hit 3 in a row, and we're up 160 units lifetime since joining WagerTalk. I am with you. I guess we have to win, but we also have to win in the style of which somebody would like. I'm with you.
Andy, in the future, you need to survey every client you have, find out exactly what they want to bet, then custom tailor your picks specifically to them. Or you could just win and tell this guy to gosh, Andy, and I don't want to say disparaging things about clients because I'm so appreciative of them. I mean, my God, they're spending their hard-earned money on our product. But I don't think we're going to have a long-term relationship with this client, Andy. I'm guessing that if you win for a client all the time and he still complains, he's likely divorced 7 times and about to divorce us. So whoever you are out there, sir, you're extremely greedy. And I want to talk about that for a second, Andy, because Gianni and I touched on this on Tuesday. So just to give you guys perspective, if Andy gives you a parlay that equates to minus 200, that means that you are making a huge return on investment in that 6-hour period. Where else are you going to put your money where in a 6-hour period you make 50% return, 66% return? How about 10% return? 10% return every single 6 hours. Are you kidding me? So whoever you are, I'm greatly appreciative that you have joined WagerTalk, that you're part of our group, but please, it is so hard to win in sports betting. It's why you guys watch these shows. It's why you bought Andy's tennis picks in the first place. Let's just win peacefully, Andy. Is that too much to ask? Just some peaceful, no noise winning?
Hey, we're not changing anything that we do. Our job is to win. Our job, people pay us for picks that win. So we're not going to deviate from anything that we've been doing. Tennis has been an absolute cash cow, especially over the last 8 months. It's just been fantastic. Shout out to Corbin, who most of you know Corbin, who does all of our tennis plays. He's been doing great work, and we are not stopping. We are not changing this. We will, unfortunately for this guy, we will keep winning. Which is a phrase I never thought I would say.
So there, we're going to keep winning. Anyway, Andy, so yesterday we had hashtag KIV going bananas. I couldn't agree more, and I'd like to address that. Guys, we are really lucky to have Kelly Stewart with us, part of our team, part of the ownership group. She is at the absolute pinnacle of this industry. She is one of the most sought after, talented, incredible brands out there. She was extremely well branded before WagerTalk even started. Kelly does so many shows. She does the Kelly and Murray show. She does shows on Outkick. She does Bet on It. She's got a huge show that we're working on that we're hopefully going to announce for this upcoming football season that is coming, and it will be a regular daily show. There is no chance that I will ever be able to compete with Kelly. I'm thankful she's part of this team, and she will be hosting every Wednesday moving forward for the next little while. So yeah, hashtag KIV, baby. Andy, let's get into some live golf prop bets.
Sure. This is a nationality bet. If you're on DraftKings, for example, you just click on Live Golf, go to nationalities, and you're looking for top Great Britain and Ireland. So, Prez, I wrote this last week. Tyrrell Hatton, top Great Britain and Ireland. This is the write-up for last week. So, it was minus 130. And I said, if they're going to give this play to me at minus 130 every week, this is going to be an auto play. He's up against guys like Paul Casey, Richard Bland, Tom McKibben, Sam Horsfield, Ian Poulter, Graham McDowell, and Lee Westwood. Most of those guys are older, and they're not nearly in their prime like Hatton is. Tom McKibben's a young up-and-comer, but he's not on Hatton's level. And Sam Horsfield doesn't do well on the Asian tour. This cashes last week. So I'm thinking to myself, well, no way we're getting minus 130 this week. And I was right. It's plus 110. We're getting a 40-cent better price this week on Tyrell Hatton to be better than all of those guys that he easily was better than last week. This is a guy that finished top 5 in the last 5 events of the year. He's one of the best golfers on the LIV Tour. I'm going to play this every week. So this is anytime there's a LIV golf event, it's Tyrell Hatton, top Great Britain and Ireland. Once again, if you're on DraftKings, for example, click on LIV Golf, click on nationality props, and then go to top Great Britain and Ireland. This is just rinse and repeat. You're playing this one every week.
Andy, wow. Every time you come on here, I mean, people yesterday, you're the GOAT, and yeah, you're awesome, dude. What do you got? What do you got to promote?
Did you want to do the NBA spread, the live betting NBA spread real quick?
After you promote.
Okay, after I promote. 5% UFC best bet is up. Darts starts this afternoon at 2:15. We do have a darts pack that is up if you want our official darts plays. We still have the 30-day special that is going on for less than $8 a day. Really, the NBA hidden gem is where it's at. 10-1 the last 11 plays, 19-5 in the last 24 NBA plays. We've been on fire. But I really encourage everyone to get that 30-day pass. Our UFC plays have been red hot, 3-0 on 5% best bets. You will get our tennis plays that win as a part of the 30-day pass. And it's discounted down to $8 a day. This is a great time of year for us. A lot of sports, we got the NBA on the All-Star break. We got NHL on their break. We've got no more football, and this is where we do a lot of our damage in some of these sports that are off the radar and off the beaten path. LIV Golf was a cash cow for us last year. So these are just the events that we build our bankrolls with. These are plays that we bet our own money on. So grab that 30 days, $8 a day. We've been building our bankrolls. We can certainly help you do the same.
There we go, Andy Lang. Guys, we had a gentleman named Michael in the chat group. He wanted to hear our thoughts on betting NBA spread bets in live game. So live game NBA spread bets. What are our theories? Marco, if you're listening in the background, you're up next. I'm going to ask you your opinion on this as well. Andy, I have a thought. You go first.
I would say that there are much better value plays and places to put your money in the sports betting world. The NBA can be very, very volatile, and this is because of the 3-point shooting revolution. There are teams that can be down 25, and in 2 quarters they can be in the lead. You see it happen all the time. The other thing with the live spreads are what happens in these blowouts in the fourth quarter. Some of these teams that are up big, they bench all their players, and all of a sudden now you're left with scrubs going against scrubs, and now you have nonsensical baskets that really have no bearing on the outcome, blows your spread. The only way I think the only way that you could possibly even potentially do it is if you have a team that you like as a favorite. If they get down early, you take them. I would not be trying to chase underdogs. Yeah. We see these underdogs getting blown out more and more. Your Chicago Bulls are awful. Some of these teams like that. In the end, though, it's not a market that I mess with live betting. There's only a couple sports I will even consider betting live. UFC is the number one. And even then, I may only do a live bet once or twice throughout an event. But the daily sports like NBA, NHL, MLB, I find live betting long-term to just not have a ton of value. So my recommendation is you're better off with your money elsewhere.
Yeah, so Andy, real quick, and I think you really touched on it. I think the most effective way to bet NBA in-game betting is to take that favorite if they go down early. With that said, and I'm going to speak to Ralph Michaels after this, and next week I'm going to try to do a deep dive into this exact topic because it is interesting. And the question is, how many NBA games land within 2 of the line, 3 of the line, 5 of the line, 10 of the line? And I think if we can isolate that number, we will be able to find ourselves some good value bets in game. And what I mean by that is, more often than not, these games end up close to the original line. And especially in a sport as volatile as NBA, where you could have a favorite who's -4. Next thing you know, they're -22. And you know that that's not a good bet. Some way it'll come all the way back down closer to the original line. So what we need to do, and I'm going to do this with Ralph next week, is we need to find that key number of how many games land 10 points from the spread and work from that perspective. So I don't have that answer for you now, but I will get that answer for you for next week. A great question. Andy, thanks for doing this, brother. We'll see you tomorrow. Guys, a quick shout out to Michael, Justin, Patrick, and George. All four of you guys have already purchased my 5% play in college basketball tonight. A reminder, I'm 8-2 in 5% college basketball plays over the last 4 years. With that said, here comes Marco to rain on my parade because all this guy does is win. How are you, my brother?
Well, I've already suffered my first loss of the day. I thought I was going to be with Kelly today.
Hashtag KIV, Marco. I get it. I will never, ever be able to compete with Kelly. And you know what? Neither of us have to. She's a partner. We love her. And she does incredible work.
Just remember, Prez, I just want to leave you with this thought to think about the rest of the day. Before Kelly joined Bet On It, I was the eye candy on Bet On It. Just remember that.
Yeah. So enough said, right?
Yeah.
Marco, you're not even your wife's eye candy. Let's move on, shall we? Okay. So
do you want to ask me that question that you just asked Andy? You said you were going to ask me?
Let's go, brother. Let's go. I'm a little all over the map right now.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. The only thing that I would add to what Andy said in his breakdown was very good. One thing I like to do if I'm going to be doing any live betting on a NBA game is at the beginning of the night, this is just a good practice for you to do, is write down every team that may be playing the next day. That's an important factor whenever you're looking at these in-game lines. And the reason I say that is if you got a big favorite, it's out to a big lead, and that line, just inflates, and they play tomorrow, there is a good chance they're going to sit guys in the fourth quarter because they got to play back tomorrow night. And then that's when you get a better chance for that underdog to come back in behind the back door. But when you got an inflated line, it's easier to come in on the back door. It's also the same if a team is down and they play tomorrow, they might wave the white flag a lot earlier to save minutes for the starters to try to play tomorrow night, rather than giving everything they got to try to come from behind in a game tonight. When they play tomorrow, they got a better chance with a fresh start tomorrow. So that's just a general practice that I would have people do.
There we go. Some advice on how to bet NBA in game. Marco, let's get into some actual betting information. You're going to give us 3 bets. We're starting with Maryland versus Nebraska. Nebraska here is -1.5. As I've mentioned many, many times before, if you do plan on betting Nebraska and they remain at -1.5, I suggest the money line. Where are you going in this game?
Well, this one here, you're looking at it right now. Maryland's playing their best ball of the year. They've won 7 of their last 9 games. They cracked the top 25. They're sitting there at 25. Their 2 losses in those last 9 games were by just 2 and 3 points. So Prez with the money line, probably a good move there because they do play close games. However, you look at this Nebraska team, and they've been like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. They are one of the streakiest teams in college basketball. They won 6 in a row in December, only to follow that up with losing 6 in a row in January. Now they're back on a winning streak. They've won 4 in a row heading into tonight's game. We do find that Maryland on the road, straight up, since 2023, They're just 7-22 straight up on the road. Now, I realize they're an underdog tonight, but as you said, we're talking about a point spread of just 1.5. So basically, they got to win the game to get the money. So that 7-22 is an important stat. The other stat that is important with Maryland is when they are on the road and we have the line in between the threes, that means it's a coin flip game, +3 to -3. They are just 1-10 against the spread since 2023. Maryland won the first meeting by only 3 points. But we find that Nebraska, when they play with revenge since 2023, an outstanding 14-3 against the spread. Last thing I'm going to throw in there, you've got ranked versus unranked. This is just a little angle that I like to look at. It'll put me on the radar of a game, whether it's college basketball, college football. People like to bet those ranked teams. And when you've got an unranked team that's a favorite, that generally draws my attention. And that's going to have me line up on Nebraska tonight. They are a veteran team. This team, their top 9 players based on minutes played, Prez, 6 of the 9 are seniors. I'm going to go ahead and take Nebraska tonight at home.
Yeah, there you go. And we understand a senior wanting to bet on seniors. Marco D'Angelo joining us, everybody. So Marco, we got the Warriors tonight. They're on the road. They're playing Houston. And it's so interesting with the Warriors because here you have a team that has just basically dominated for 10 years. I mean, find me a team that has a winning record against Golden State in the last decade, and I will be amazed. And Houston is not different. I mean, this Houston team did beat them 91-90 by 1 point in their last game. But before that, they lost 9 straight to Golden State. And we saw this with New England. We have seen this with dynasties over and over and over again. As the great fall, so they get mud kicked in their face all the time. These teams want to beat the Warriors. Houston tonight, -6. Are they going to cover that spread?
Well, Golden State's not quite ready to ride off into the sunset just yet. That's why at the trade deadline, they went out and got Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler, that's a trade move that I question. We'll see how he gets along as the season progresses with Draymond Green, who can be quite a character himself. But I'm looking at this one. It's the last game before the All-Star break. This is Houston's 3rd game in 4 days. It's also their 6th game in 9 days. And this is a situation, too, that because of the travel they've been doing, all of these games have been in different cities. So this is a team to get a little bit of fatigue factor that we're going to look at. This will also be the 4th game since Jimmy Butler has joined the Warriors. Now, we know that when another superstar joins a team, there's a little bit of a period where you got to get the team has to gel. They got to find the right chemistry. The players got to learn what their new roles are with each other. And you've seen the minutes go up on Jimmy. First game, he played 28 minutes, then 31 minutes. Last night, he played 35 minutes. Houston hasn't been playing well as of late. They're 2-6 their last 8 games. However, the 2 wins were their last 2, which followed up. This team played 6 in a row on the road before coming home. And they've also played 8 of their last 9 games on the road prior to coming home, and they were all in different cities. They had 1 home game sandwiched in between all those road games. So I expect Houston right now, who is a little bit of an undervalued commodity because of the recent streak, but I feel that recent streak is more due to the schedule and playing on the road. They will start to play better. I'm going to go ahead and take them to keep this streak going. And as far as Golden State goes, you talked about that 1-point loss. Golden State, since 2023, as good as this team has been, Prez, they're just 10-20 against the spread when they're revenging a same-season loss. So we're going to go ahead, take Houston, and we also find that Houston plays better at home. And if they're at home off a win in their previous game, they are the previous home win, 23-10 against the spread. So we got all the angles going to Houston tonight. We're going to ride them plus the points, or excuse me, minus the points.
Marco, I am no linguist, but I think it might be avenging, not revenging, but I don't know for sure. Guys, Marco D'Angelo in his last 14 days, 22-8. Marco D'Angelo, all you've been doing is winning for like 18 straight months. You told me that 2024 was the best year you've ever had as a sports handicapper, and 2025 is better. Whatever you're doing, it is aging magnificently. It's like the greatest wine on the planet. Beautiful scotch. It's like Bob Weir. I mean, is this shit ever gonna end, bro? Like, what the hell? I mean, my God, Marco.
I hope not, Prez. We're enjoying it, and I don't know. Maybe it's the motivation of the wife's got a couple grandkids, new one just a few months ago, and that old Amazon truck rolls up to the house every day.
Yeah, there you go. So, what do you got going tonight?
We've got a 4% play, my Big West Conference game of the week. And Prez, we have done so well with these, the lesser conferences. Everybody wants the Power Five, and, we have plays there as well. But you know what? Those lines are the tightest. We find the value in the lesser conferences. And that's where we've been making our money. I've even had plays this year in the Big Sky Conference where I never even used to take the time to look at that, but I'm looking at the markets to find where the value is at. And that's what we've been doing. You can pick that play up for $25 by itself. Good value for that. But why not go for the better deal? And the better deal right now is 30 days for just $239. That comes out to less than $8 a day. That's good for me. That's good for any capper at WagerTalk. You can use that deal, and you'll never miss a play. You'll get every play that we have, all sports, including when I have bonus plays and things like horse racing and such. You get it when you're an all-access client. So jump on board that. And, of course, that would include any 5% plays, and you know what we've done with those. Yep. And our last one was the Super Bowl, and that was about as sweet as you can get with Philadelphia.
There we go. Gianni the Greek still to come, everybody. We're going late today. I'm in an awesome freaking mood. I watched a great movie last night, one that is not necessarily a me movie, 6888 on Netflix. Not highly rated, but it was an awesome war movie. Anyway, let's move on. Marco D'Angelo, after your analysis, I'm going to give out a bet on this exact game that I think is one of the best bets you can make. This is a free bet. It's a prop bet. And I am loading up on it. So, guys, stay with us for that. Marco, the Thunder are playing the T-Wolves. How are you betting this game?
Yeah, this one's going to be a short one for you, Prez. Rough scheduling spot for OKC. They're playing great. I know that. But they played last night at home. Now they got to travel to Minnesota. I know they're on the winning streak, but, how excited do you get to roll into Minnesota? All-Star break on the horizon. Sometimes these players like to check out a little early on vacation day. Minnesota played last night as well, but they played at home, so they're at home again. And that sets up a stat that I got to give credit to Stat Daddy, Ralph Michaels. He supplied this one for me. Home teams, the last game before the All-Star break, if they are coming off a straight-up loss in their previous game, those teams are 107-79 against the spread. That tells me to take Minnesota tonight. And we find that Minnesota since 2023 is a home underdog, 19-7 against the spread. I think this line is inflated because everybody's jumping on the OKC bandwagon. I'll take Minnesota plus the points.
There we go. Marco D'Angelo. So, Marco, I'm going to give you a bet that I am pounding. Like, I am legitimately making a sizable wager on this bet. It is not a client play because I don't do NBA props. It's a personal play, and I'm giving it out now, and that is Shea over 31.5 points tonight. Here's the angle, Marco. few weeks ago, Shea set the Canadian record for points in a game at 54 points. Last night, Jamal Murray gave him the one-up and set a record, 55 points. These guys are alpha males, bro. Jamal Murray lay the gauntlet down. This is Shea's next game after the Canadian record was set, 55 points. Now, I am not suggesting that Shea's getting 56, but he's getting more than 31 and a half tonight. Take that to the bank, Marco. Shea over 31 and a half points. I love this bet. Okay, we done? You done?
We're done. I'm done.
Namaste, my brother. Gianni the Greek, what do you think of that Shea bet over 31 and a half? Can't hear you.
You love it? You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I got worried there. I don't even know who he is. Forgive me, but I don't. I'll piggyback it though. We did bet USA to win this Frozen 4 at plus 150. So that's pretty much all I had for this All-Star break, but I'll bet it. You know me. So if you like something that's strong, I'm all over it.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA. He will likely be the MVP of the league this year. And he held the record up until last night for the most amount of points scored by a Canadian in the NBA at 54. Jamal just broke it at 55. That guy's going to try his damnedest to get that record back. And he's going to try his damnedest tonight when it counts, when it's public, when everyone's talking about it. That's why I love that bet. But let's stop right there.
What do you think of the USA? What do you think of the USA side in that Frozen 4, in this 4-team playoff thing?
You know,
Canada's going to win.
I feel like Canada is the better team. They are plus 170. Plus Canada,
130 now. Down to 130 after yesterday.
I'm talking about prior to the tournament. The problem is their goaltending. The Canadian goaltending definitely is suspect. I don't feel like there's any value in plus 170, 130, plus 150. In all seriousness, Gianni, Sweden could win. Finland could win.
Okay.
This is a tournament where none of these teams have played together in any substantive form. None of them have practiced. They're all just going to go out there and try their best and let the chips fall where they may. With that said, Sidney Crosby is 25-0 as the Canadian captain. He has not lost, not a tournament, a single freaking hockey game since 1863, bro. Like, this guy is 25-0 as the captain of Team Canada. I ain't betting into that. I get it. I respect it. The dude had 3 assists last night and at 37 looked like the best hockey player on the ice. I ain't betting against Sidney Crosby as Team Canada's captain. Somebody did ask, what do I think of the tournament? I think the tournament needed to be not in the middle of the NHL season. I also think it's a made-up tournament. With that said, man, the hockey was outstanding. Oh, my God, it was so fun to watch. Absolutely loved last night's hockey game. So, Gianni, with that said, let's get into some bets tonight. College basketball and NBA. What's going on with you?
Yeah, coming off a nice 2-0 sweep in college basketball. So let's get the NBA out of the way first, because I do have a handful of college basketball. We bet, I can't even see that number, but it's Sacramento Kings minus 7.5 and 8. Miami Heat on the money line minus 115. Thunder minus 7 and under 223. So that's Sacramento, Miami, the Thunder, and under. Now, some of the college basketball sides: 757 Monmouth minus the deuce, 775 Delaware plus the 8, 762 Louisiana Monroe plus 8 plus 7.5, 775, I think that is Kennesaw State plus the 6. Move on down to 802 Southern Utah minus 2. Next game after that, 803 Tennessee State minus 3, 807 Southern Illinois at a pick'em. Move over to 837 Cal Poly minus 6.5, minus 7. 864 Hawaii, last game on the board. The midnight game, minus 10.5 and 11. Finally, the added board, 306 573, forgive me, Western Georgia, plus 14.5. And real quickly, three totals for you. 827 under 146, Oregon State, Portland. Game 831 over 851 over 140. UC Santa Barbara, Cal Irvine, and finally 835 Northern Arizona, Portland over 146. So those are the sides and totals we've already got into as of about 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Thursday college basketball is like those teams that no one's really excited about. But we tend to do well. You tend to get value on those because bettors that bet every day, they're still going to get down. It's like they're going to stop just because there's not that primetime game, with Duke playing. They're still going to bet the Monmouth versus Stony Brook if that's the only thing on the board. And it tends to where we'll get a little more value on some of these sides where otherwise during the regular season, during normal days, you don't, because of the fact that it's more or less the sharps versus the books. And because they're not going to get much risk on the other side, they move the line significantly and the lines are really tight. But on a night like tonight, you could actually get some value on some of those sides because the books aren't going to move as significantly, knowing that public's going to back a lot of times the opposite. Because again, they're not following these teams. They're not following Stony Brook religiously. What they're going to do is do that 10-minute handicap and more or less jump on what appears on paper to be the better team. And we've been able to take advantage of that, especially with so many teams in college basketball.
Gianni The Greek joining us. Gianni, I do have a quick question for you, but I do want to show everybody I am actually making that bet. I've made it. There it is. I did take out how much I put on that bet because, frankly, it's none of your bloody business how much I bet. People ask me.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's all relative, Prez. If I have $1 billion and I bet $100,000, it's nothing. If someone only has $1,000 and they're betting 100, it's a lot. That's all relative.
But it's also none of anyone's bloody business. Like people ask me all the time. Hey, Prez, how much you have on this game? You know what my response is? How much you make at your job?
Exactly. None of your damn business. None of your damn business.
Right. None of your
What are you, my financial planner? You're my financial advisor? I don't understand it either.
Mac Brown. I love you, Mac. I haven't seen your name in ages. Welcome to the chat room. Nice to see you, brother. Gianni, I want to end the show with this topic because it's so bloody interesting. You started the segment with, I don't know who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. Now, he's literally the top 5 basketball player in the world. And you don't know who he is. And that's what I want to talk about because I was speaking to a friend, Matthew Barnaby, actually yesterday. And he played in the NHL. And we were talking about how bad most professional athletes are as bettors. And it is sort of the opposite of, why are you such a great bettor? These guys are emotionally attached. They study players. They think they know what they're talking about. You don't even know who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. Why should we bet our hard-earned money on your NBA picks if you've never even heard of one of the best players in the entire league?
Because it doesn't matter. It has no relevance at all. It all has to do with, if you're betting numbers, that's what we're doing. You're looking for inefficiencies in the betting market. If you're trying to predict the outcomes, good luck with that. I don't know anyone that's had any success doing that. If you're psychic, then go play the lotto. There's no business. You have no business doing it with sports. Because the bottom line is, Prez, it's a market like any other. And your goal is to find those inefficiencies in the market. I could care less who the players are. Obviously, I'm looking at power ratings of a whole team. If a player's sitting out or something like that, that's got to be factored into the price. But with that said, the goal that I have is simply to beat the market over and over and over again. And as long as I'm beating the close, I know nobody likes to think that way. Like, oh, what's the closing line value trophy? I'll tell you what, if you're only betting today, then closing line value means nothing. But if you're going to be betting tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, that's the only thing that matters, because that's how you prove you're getting out ahead of the market and your mathematical certainty to turn a profit. The reason they kick you out of sports books isn't because of the money you won. It's because of your ability to beat them. Same with blackjack. I've got kicked out of Mandalay Bay. In my lifetime history, I'm down $44,000 at Mandalay Bay lifetime. But I can't play blackjack there. Why? Because I pose a threat to them long term. They know that as long as I see enough cards, there's nothing they could do about it. And sports, you got to approach it the exact same way. Like, it took a while for me to separate myself from being a fan because, dude, I used to watch every game too. I used to watch every preview show as well when I first got into it. And I look now and it doesn't help me. Again, it does. If anything, it biases me. And the one thing I trust in is the fact, even the court said, like eyewitness testimony is probably the least reliable because our eyes lie. We have a bias. So I've been able to separate myself from being a fan to being a trader. And that's the only way I approach this. That's why I stopped watching games. I watched MMA because I love the sport. But I pulled myself away from having that fan mentality. Again, the numbers don't lie. I've won 8 of the last 10 years doing it my way. However it works for you. If you're profitable, continue doing what you're doing. But for me, as soon as I get emotionally involved, things turn bad. So I stick to what works for me.
Yeah, and listen, I find there to be a lot of sort of analogous with the stock market. And if you just grab 2 stocks that have performed incredibly over the last 20 years, say Tesla and Apple, name the COO in either of those companies. Like, who is the CFO of Apple? You don't know, but would you put your money on their stock? We study balance sheets, not laborers. Gianni.
That's exactly it. Great point.
Dude, I love you, bro. I could do this forever with you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, sir. I love you too.
I know we leave you till the end, and I know you don't get much time, but everything that comes out of your mouth is gold. Now, we'll see you tomorrow. Get out of here. Gianni the Greek, everyone. Guys, a quick reminder. I have a 5% college basketball play up going tonight. I'm going to give you guys a free play right now in college hoops, and that is Townsend -7 against Delaware. We already saw this game play out a few weeks ago, and Townsend won by 10 in Delaware. Now they're at home. I don't see much changing. Townsend has had just 1 home game in their last 3 weeks. They're coming off of a great win against Monmouth. Now they take on the 2nd worst defense in the conference. And Delaware are just 2-7 ATS in their last 9. They've gotten blown out 4 games on the road in a row. Townsend, 11-1 in CAA with 10 straight wins. I really like this play tonight. Townsend -7. I'm okay if you get it to -8 against Delaware. Use the promo code PREZ10 to get $10 off of my 5% play. Shout out to Andy, to Marco, to Kyle, to Gianni on behalf of Dan Alexander and I. Make your bets, win them all. We'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love, everyone.